The fall of the Berlin Wall. History, Causes, and Consequences. Introduction. The Berlin Wall, which stood from 1961 to 1989, was a physical and ideological barrier that divided the German capital, Berlin, and became one of the most potent symbols of the Cold War. It was not just a physical barrier, but a manifestation of the political and ideological division between East Germany's socialist regime and West Germany's capitalist system. The fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9, 1989, was a historic moment that marked the beginning of significant changes in Europe and the world, ultimately leading to the end of the Cold War. In this essay, we will explore the history of the Berlin Wall, the reasons for its construction, the process of its fall, and its far-reaching effects on global history. The construction of the Berlin Wall and its historical context. The Berlin Wall was erected by the government of East Germany, German Democratic Republic, on August 13, 1961. However, to understand why the city of Berlin was divided, we need to look at the developments following the end of World War II. In 1945, after Germany was defeated, it was occupied by the four victorious powers: the United States, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and France. The capital city, Berlin, was similarly divided into four sectors, each controlled by one of the Allied powers. The Soviet Union established a socialist regime in East Germany, making the eastern part of the country part of its sphere of influence. West Germany, under the control of the United States, the United Kingdom, and France, became a capitalist democracy in line with Western European values. Over time, the differences between these two regions became increasingly pronounced. While West Germany experienced rapid economic growth, East Germany lagged behind, with lower living standards and a more repressive, centralized socialist regime under Soviet control. In this context, the movement of people between East and West Germany became a significant problem. Throughout the 1950s, millions of East Germans fled to West Germany, seeking better living conditions and political freedom. This migration, particularly of skilled workers, posed a substantial threat to the stability of East Germany's economy and political system. To stop this exodus, the Soviet Union and the East German government came up with a radical solution: the construction of a wall that would separate West Berlin from East Berlin and, by extension, East Germany. The Berlin Wall was meant to stop the mass defections to the West, but it also became a symbol of the ideological division between East and West. While West Berlin was seen as a beacon of freedom, democracy, and capitalism, East Berlin and East Germany were viewed as oppressed by a socialist dictatorship. Social and political impact of the wall. The construction of the Berlin Wall profoundly affected life in Germany. Families, friends, and communities were physically separated by the wall. It became not just a literal division of the city, but a metaphor for the division of Germany and Europe as a whole. Communication between people on either side of the wall was severely restricted, and the East German government imposed strict controls on anyone attempting to cross the border. Escape attempts from east to west were frequent during the wall's existence, and many ended tragically. Between 1961 and 1989, over 5,000 people tried to escape, but 138 lost their lives in the process. The wall's existence represented not only the physical manifestation of the division, but also the oppressive nature of the East German government. While the West viewed the wall as a sign of oppression within East Germany, it was portrayed as a necessary defense against Western imperialist forces. Additionally, the wall deepened the ideological and economic divide between East and West Germany. During the 1960s and 1970s, West Germany's economy boomed, while East Germany, under its socialist system, struggled with economic stagnation and lower living standards. This disparity further fueled dissatisfaction among East Germans, many of whom longed for the freedoms and prosperity enjoyed by their counterparts in the West. The process leading to the fall of the wall. The fall of the Berlin Wall was part of a broader movement of change across Eastern Europe as the Cold War neared its end. By the mid-1980s, the Soviet Union faced economic and political crises. Mikhail Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union, recognized the need for reform and introduced policies such as glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring. These reforms began to loosen the Soviet Union's control over Eastern Europe, weakening the socialist regimes that had long been propped up by Soviet support.